Hey, what's up guys? John here. We are now seeing things that we would have never thought possible. If you would have predicted anything that's happened over the last year and a half to anyone 2 years ago, they would have thought you were absolutely insane. But now what's happening seems to only get crazier and crazier. We saw the Keystone Pipeline. That really was kind of not that big of a deal for most of us. Now the Colonial Pipeline kind of raised some flags when we're seeing people really fighting over gas, filling up their truck beds, and they're filling up their boats. They're doing whatever they can do to get gasoline. Then now we're seeing this JBS food shortage with this cyber attack. This is a fifth of overall meat production in America. We're now seeing that being attacked. So now with me, I'm married, I have a young child, 17 months old, baby on the way. And I'm looking at the world right now and I'm saying, you know what? Things could actually get pretty scary. The next 1 to 2 years, we might see some real big problems. We're seeing inflation. We're seeing the cost of cheap goods becoming actually expensive. Even Wendy's and Burger King, all these chains are increasing prices. When we see this happening, then we're seeing consumer debt pick up. We're seeing foreclosures, forbearances. 1 in 5 tenants are not paying rent. Then we're seeing this whole new script being pushed out in front of us with we should be eating synthetic beef. So we're seeing all these crazy things happen right now, and I feel like we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a couple options, what I'm thinking for both myself and my family to protect us and to position us for not just wealth accumulation, but safety and security going forward. So please smash that like button. When you hit the like button, you're going to help YouTube share this video, which really will help my channel a lot. We're about to break 3,000 subscribers. So hopefully we can take it to 5,000 next couple weeks. Thanks, guys. When you're making an investment, it's always good to weigh the pros and cons, the risk reward. That's what all smart investors do, and that's what all smart attorneys do. They weigh the upside to the downside. But when you're looking at making a really good investment, and you see some of the smartest people that are walking the earth right now buying and investing in the same way that you're considering, then you have to ask yourself, what is it maybe that they see above and beyond what you would see as a traditional investor? Now, Michael Burry, we all know who he is. He's from The Great Short, or The Biggest Short, and I think that's what the movie's called. 2007, 2008, he predicted the housing crash. And so he invests now heavily in, yes, stocks, but also in agricultural and farmland. And he thinks it is one of the best investments. And so over the last 24 hours, I've been really studying this and looking to find what he's found in farmland. Bill Gates, America's largest farmland owner, roughly 270,000 acres that he owns through a company called Cascade. Now, I think he probably owns a lot more farmland, but one thing that they all both invest in, what they both look for, is a water source on that land. Then what I noticed yesterday, I found out that Zac Efron sold his property in Los Angeles for $5.8 million, and he bought a property in Australia for 318 acres with 3 different water sources on it with fresh water. Why would he do something like that? Zac Efron, the Hollywood celebrity, go to Australia to buy 318 acres with 3 separate water sources on them. Very, very questionable. Peter Thiel, same thing, went out to New Zealand, bought farmland. So here I'm looking at this. It says, why this legendary investor doubled down on farmland? What is the hottest and underappreciated assets on earth of this decade? Is it Zoom, which skyrocketed 500% this year? Or is it perhaps Amazon, the king of stay-at-home names, already up 72% this year? Surely it must be Moderna or Pfizer leading in the mad rush to develop the vaccine. Michael Burry has a different answer. Hold on, you're thinking, who's Michael? Why should I care? So you already know he predicted the financial crash, but the strongest asset in the bear market is dirt. Burry told Bloomberg, I believe that agricultural land, productive agricultural land with water on site will be very valuable in the future. I put a good amount of money into that. The Huffington Post, Forbes, Seeking Alpha, and Motley Fool, and other respected financial media outlets have nodded to Burry. His rotation into farmland and water makes a lot of sense in today's environment. But Burry isn't alone in his thought. The smartest investors on earth have quietly accumulated farmland assets. So when you really look at how this performs, and you can get land really cheap, in some areas as low as $500 per acre. $500 per acre. I'm looking at a piece of land right now. It's about 450 acres. 450 acres. And you can get this property for the price of like a whatever house in LA. 450 acres. You think about how well that will do long term. So when he says Warren Buffett is a prime example, famously bought a 400-acre plot of farmland in 1996. Buffett claimed in 2014 that 20 years later, the farm has tripled its earnings and is worth 5 times more than what he paid. Over the next 3 decades, the UN forecasts the global population will increase to about 10 billion. How do you imagine farmland investments will benefit from an over 30% increase in mouths to feed? Good luck feeding 2 billion people with Bitcoin or gold nuggets. And then, a permanent winner, no asset quite like farmland. So I'm going to show you guys the piece of farmland that I'm thinking about buying right now. It's listed just under $1 million, and it seems like the seller's really motivated. And what would be really cool about this piece of property is that I would literally be able to put a little runway on the property, and I'd be able to, if I bought a little airplane, I'd be able to take off and land at that property. I would be able to have cattle. I'd be able to have chicken, pigs. I'd be able to have everything. I don't know anything about farming, so I'd have to learn all this stuff. I'd actually probably just hire someone or hire a couple people to help. I wouldn't do some massive operation, but it would be cool to be fully independent, and it would be really cool to have fresh organic food that we grow, that we would not have to go to these public like Publix and Vons and these really big chains to get the food. I think that the food that they give us is really bad for us. So looking at how this whole thing would play out with water as well, it's like all the smart money is going here. All the smart money is going here. You can go there, you can put down 20-30% down and take a 30-year fixed rate loan out on one of these pieces of property. With Biden printing so much money, the dollar is going to be worthless, and paying back the current dollar over 30 years time, it's almost like free money. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm going to be getting pretty aggressive in this search, and I'm going to start looking, really long and hard at this, because before I wanted to buy apartments, buying apartment buildings, but now it seems like it's questionable. It's questionable unless the eviction moratorium gets lifted and things really start opening back up. I just don't like the idea of buying a bunch of apartment buildings and not being able to collect rent. If they end up pushing this out further, or maybe they say that there's a new issue or new situation that they need to protect tenants, then being the landlord on that would be a pretty unfortunate situation. Whereas owning all this land could be a very good situation. So this is the land. Look at this. Like, there's one picture that really shows you the real scale and size of this property. Like, you can put a landing strip right here easily. Look at that. All of that farmland, fully isolated, just, it is incredible. That is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe, so I might try to get that for somewhere around 800,000. I can't believe if you get something like that, 450 acres for 800 grand. It's like, yeah, I don't see how you lose on that investment. So I'm going to be looking again at this really hard. What do you guys think about farmland? Where do you see farmland as an investment going? And if we step into a situation where we start to see real financial problems hitting the world, where do you think will be the safest place for people to, have a place? I think kind of out in the middle of nowhere like that would probably be a better place than, say, being in downtown LA, or maybe being in San Francisco or Philly or New York or Boston or Atlanta, any of these other locations. So I'm gonna keep you guys updated on my search. If you guys know anything about farming, if you guys have any information or any pointers, I would really appreciate it. Just drop it down in the comments. Again, I'm just starting to learn all this stuff, and I think it seems pretty cool, seems really viable, and it seems like a really good option for people to consider going forward in this crazy new world that we all live in. Drop your comments below. Please smash that like button. I'll see you guys next video.